Hello, hello out there. Welcome to Horror Talk Live, episode 28. I am Brian. This is Troy. Say hello to the people out there.
Hello.
And on this episode of Horror Talk Live, we are going to discuss the 1981 slasher film, The Burning. I have seen this film many times over the years. This is Troy's first time watching it tonight, literally right before we started streaming. We got done watching this bad boy. That 4K, it's over my left shoulder there. But I hope you're all doing well out there on this Friday night. Brandon said
Thanks.
he loves Slipknot, Brandon. So do I, but he loves Slipknot. He hasn't got to see him live yet. He's waiting for him to go on tour, but
They're my favorite bands.
Eventually we'll see them. I've seen them many times. Troy's never seen them yet, but we will get there. We will get there. I hope you've all had a great week. It is the weekend, thank God. I got to work tomorrow for a little bit, but that's all right. Tomorrow night we get to go see Godsmack and Stone Temple Pilots, so we're looking forward to that. I hope you've all had a great week, and I hope you have an even better weekend planned. It's supposed to be beautiful here in North Carolina. Hopefully wherever you're at, you're going to have some nice weather this weekend. What's the weather going to be like in Iowa there, Brandon? You have a nice weekend? Well, tomorrow's supposed to be beautiful. Sunday's going to be 90 here, so it's going to be a little hot. But it's middle of May, and we're due for some hot weather, unfortunately. I'd rather stay where it was today, but mid-70s and sunny. It was beautiful out. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. But, I hope you... One thing I got to talk about. On Wednesday night, I didn't know this was a thing, but Regal Cinema, if you have a Regal Cinema near you, they just started this thing where Fangoria, horrible and tons of rain, like 3 inches over next. Oh, shit, Brandon. Sorry to hear that, man. We're not. Next weekend it's supposed to rain here if the forecast holds, but we know how the weather people do it. This weekend's supposed to be nice. But I hate to hear that, Brandon. That sucks. Because I'm sure, like me, like you, I'm sure you have a lot of stuff to do outside, and you're not going to be able to get any of it done. That sucks. But I'm sure you'll make the best of it, Brandon. You'll find a way to have some fun this weekend. I'm sure of it. I have faith in you, my friend. Tomorrow night we get to go see Godsmack and Stone Temple Pilots. But on Wednesday night, this past Wednesday night, Rip Scott. Yep. I'm looking forward to it. Their new singer kind of sounds like Scott Weiland, so we'll see. I've seen Godsmack. This will be my 8th time seeing Godsmack. Troy's first time. He's looking forward to it. He's a couple friends going with us. It should be a good night. It should be a fun night. It's supposed to be 85 here tomorrow. So tomorrow night for the concert should be beautiful. It's supposed to be beautiful weather, like low 60s and clear sky. So it should be a good time. Looking forward to it. On Wednesday night, this past Wednesday night, by the way, get back to Regal. Regal Cinema just announced it started this past Wednesday, the 13th of every month. Fangoria Magazine's going to pick a horror movie, and Regal's going to show it on the 13th of every month. This past Wednesday, we got to see An American Werewolf in London. I've never seen American Werewolf in London on the big screen. I've seen it many times at home. Had it on VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, and 4K now. But it was a great experience. Troy's never seen it. Troy, did you like American Werewolf in London?
Yeah.
What did you think of the transformation scene?
It's pretty cool.
The theater was about half full. It was cool to see people out to see a movie from the early 80s. Me and Troy and I went with Dale_A from the Bat and Spider podcast. By the way, go over and subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And he took his 2 sons as well. So we all went and got to check out An American Werewolf in London. That was very, very cool. All right, before we get into The Burning, as we usually do, we go into some upcoming physical media. But we're also going to go into some upcoming horror films, starting with today. Today, there's 2 horror movies that hit the market in the theater near you. And one of them is Obsession, that just came out today. Or yesterday, but you know what I mean, today. It's getting a lot of buzz. I might go see that on Sunday. I'm tossing it up between that or going to see the new Guy Ritchie movie came out this weekend, Into Gray. I don't know which one I'm going to see yet, but Obsession came out this weekend, and Passenger came out this weekend as well. That's the one where I've seen the trailer a couple times where the guys are driving on a back road at night. I guess it's about people on a road trip are stalked by a demon. Those came out today. May 29th, a movie called Back Rooms, which I didn't know where this came from until last night. A24, Kane Parsons, who's a YouTuber, made this movie. And yeah, I've heard great things about Obsession 2, Brandon. It's getting a lot of buzz. This Back Rooms thing, I didn't know what it was, but I guess it's based on some videos he made. Oh, hey, Kurt. I hope you're feeling well, buddy. I didn't expect to see you in the chat. But it's always great to have you, buddy. Straight from the ER. Get well soon, my friend. Get well soon. This guy's a YouTuber, and he made some videos, and he made a full-length feature. I didn't know what this was. I saw the trailer, but I didn't know what it was until last night. Dale's one son was giving me a down low on this. But that comes out on May 29th, so we got a couple more another horror movie come out this month. And then June 19th, we got the new Scary Movie coming out, if you're interested in that. And then July 10th, which I'm excited about this one, we got Evil Dead Burn come out on July 10th. And that trailer, if you happen to catch that trailer, it was a pretty badass trailer. So I'm very excited about a new Evil Dead movie. And we're getting another Evil Dead movie next year. So we have a cornucopia of Evil Dead stuff coming up. Okay, let's get into some physical media, because I know some of us are really into physical media. Not me, but I might have a few. May 19th, Ginger Snaps comes out on 4K. Again, I talked about this last month. If you've never seen Ginger Snaps, it's a damn cool werewolf movie. Alligator on 4K, even though it's already been on 4K, is getting a Steelbook release if you want to double dip. I love my Scream Factory 4K, so I'm good. I don't need another one. But if you like Steelbooks, there's a Steelbook version of Alligator on 4K coming out on May 19th. Yeah, but I'm not going to buy it twice. I already have the 4K.
It's
beautiful.
4K.
No, it's okay. On May 26th, I never thought this movie would get a 4K release, but it is. Faces of Death from 1978, the original. If you've ever seen it, I've seen it when I was way too young to see it, thanks to my cousin. On May 26th is getting an official 4K release. So if you're interested, that is coming out. Terror Train from 1980, the original Jamie Lee Curtis semi-classic slasher film, comes out on May 26th on 4K from Kino Lorber. On June 9th, even though this isn't a full horror movie, but I love this goddamn movie, and it's kind of a horror comedy, The Burbs is getting a 4K release on June 9th. You can pre-order that right now. Scream 4 is finally getting a 4K release on June 9th as well. On June 11th, Bride of Reanimator gets a 4K release. On June 16th, Day of the Dead, George A. Romero's Day of the Dead, which is my favorite of the Dead franchise, gets a 4K release, and I'm definitely going to be pre-ordering that thing because I love that movie. Them gets a 4K release on June 16th. Yep, The Burbs, Brent, it's happening. It's coming quick, too. June 9th. It's not that far away. That's from Scream Factory. On June 6th, Them gets a 4K release, and Scream 7 has its 4K release on June 16th. So June 16th has 3 cool releases. I don't think I'll be upgrading my Them. I have that on Blu-ray, and I love that movie, but I don't think I need it on 4K. But Day of the Dead, and I have Scream 7 pre-ordered. I'll definitely be picking that up. And for you comedy fans out there, we are just a few short weeks away from The Great Outdoors getting its 4K release. You can pre-order that now on Amazon or wherever you get your physical media from. I love The Great Outdoors, and I can't wait for that 4K. I just pre-ordered it today because John Candy and Dan Aykroyd together, you can't go wrong. All right, we are going to talk about The Burning. It's getting into summertime, and what happens in the summer? Kids go to summer camp. I never did, but kids go to summer camp, especially in New England. I don't know about where you're at if it was a thing. Brandon, I knew you had The Great Outdoors pre-ordered. I can't wait for that. I can't wait to watch that in 4K. I'm excited. I'm giddy at the thought. But yeah, I can't wait for that one. I love that movie. I never went to summer camp. not that there wasn't summer camps around in Pennsylvania where I grew up. There was some like away from us, but I don't think I even knew anybody who went to summer camp, honestly. So let me know in the chat. Did you ever go to summer camp? I know it was really popular up in New England. We lived in Massachusetts for 7 years, and we had some summer camps around us within the area. But I've never been to summer camp.
I've never been.
Well, I know you've never been. Unless you want to count that trip we took the night before Halloween last year. You want to count that? The one-night camping trip?
It's not even a summer camp.
Well, it's a camp, technically.
But it was in the fall.
Well, that was kind of cool in the fall, though.
Yeah. What about with
The night before Halloween, tramps around the woods in the complete dark, can't see shit. Because you weren't allowed to take a flashlight. Remember that? Thank you, camp. I almost took a header down the freaking bank. But, whatever. You got to do what you got to do. But no, summer camp wasn't a thing for us anyway. But we did have some summer camps in Pennsylvania. I just never went to one. It's definitely big in New England, like New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Maine. But I've never went. But anyway, this is a summer camp slasher film if you've never seen it. I do believe this is streaming on Tubi, but I do have that beautiful 4K from Scream Factory. The transfer looks great. And you can still get the Blu-ray if you're interested in owning this movie. The Blu-ray is a pretty good transfer, but the 4K is a great upgrade if you really like this movie. The Burning came out May 8th of 1981. It's rated R. It's only an hour and 31 minutes. It had a budget of $1.5 million, and upon release, it only made $707,000. This kind of got lost in the shuffle. This was during the slasher boom, so there was a slasher movie coming out almost every goddamn week around this point. This is in the heyday of, you're talking Friday the 13th 1, Friday the 13th 2, you had Prom Night, Terror Train, so on and so forth. A ton of slasher films came out around this time, and horror in general was booming at this time. So this movie kind of got lost in the shuffle, which tends to happen, and then it found a cult status later on and became a cult hit. But, you're talking about the early Evil Dead came out around this time. It was a cornucopia of horror films that are known as classics now, but some got, lost in the shuffle, and this is one of them. To direct this film, Tony Malum came in to direct this film. He done mostly rock documentaries in the 70s leading up to this. He would go on later on in the early 90s to direct a horror sci-fi film called Split Second in 1992, starring the great Rutger Hauer and Kim Cattrall. If you've ever seen that one, I have that one on Blu-ray. It's a cool creature feature. If you've never seen it, I recommend it. It's a pretty cool movie with some pretty cool practical special effects. I plan on reviewing that sometime before Halloween this year. I have the Blu-ray from MVD with a lot of special features, so I haven't even watched it yet. I got to deep dive into that thing. Now, yeah, man. Yeah, Split Second, Rutger Hauer. You can't go wrong. I can't go wrong with Rutger Hauer performance. This movie was written, co-written, produced by one Bob and Harvey Weinstein. This was a Harvey Weinstein brainchild. He was trying to make it in Hollywood. Whatever you think about the guy, we know he's a scumbag. But at the time, he was trying to make it in Hollywood. Low-budget slashers like Halloween were a hit. Everybody around that time was scrambling to look for something to make into a horror film. Now, he lived in New York at the time, and New York, there's an urban legend about Cropsey. They made a documentary on Cropsey back in 2007 or 2009. Somewhere around that point, there was an urban legend in New York that was told around campfires at camps in New York. So he took that concept and wrote like a 5-page treatment, which we'll get into later, which blossomed into this movie. They went out. They got hired a writer, they hired a director, they raised the money, and off they went. And to edit this film, I thought this was pretty cool. Jack Scholler edited this film. He would go on to direct Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge, and around this time, he also directed the movie Alone in the Dark, starring Donald Pleasance, Martin Landau, Jack Palance, and Dwight Schultz from A-Team fame. That's a pretty cool little slasher film if you've never seen it. It was actually New Line Cinema's first movie they ever produced in-house. So if you've never seen Alone in the Dark, check it out. And then he would go on later in the 80s to direct a cool little sci-fi action we called The Hidden. Now, in this film, we got Brian Matthews playing Todd. He is head counselor at this camp that we're going to talk about. Leah Aries plays Michelle, and you'll recognize her from Bloodsport later on in the 80s. She was the love interest for Van Damme in that movie. Brian Backer plays Alfred. He is our final girl, or final boy. Jason Alexander makes his film debut as Dave, and obviously he would go on later to play George Costanza in Seinfeld. Fisher Stevens in his film debut playing Woodstock, and he would be in Short Circuit with The Goot and many other films over the years. And also in Vice Principals TV show. If you ever saw that show, he was in that as well. Holly Hunter made her film debut as Sophie in this film, and Lou David played our killer Cropsy and our alcoholic dick caretaker, which gets burned, which we'll talk about in a second. Like I said, I've seen this film many times over the years. I remember seeing a VHS in the late 90s, and then DVD, and then Blu-ray, and then now I have the 4K. This is Troy's first time. Troy likes slasher films, right? You'd say it's probably your favorite genre in the horror scope, right? Good slasher
What do you
movie.
consider Terrifier?
Slasher film.
Well, yeah, then.
Okay, yeah, well. Troy's upset that Terrifier 4 is not coming out till next year. I dropped that news on him, and he was like, what? I'm like, they didn't even start filming yet. They made the announcement, 2027, Terrifier 4, so. Patience. Patience, my boy. Patience.
It's the one thing I don't have.
I know you don't have. No 14-year-old does, my friend. No 14-year-old does. Hey, what's up? Good to have you in the chat. Troy's impatient. He wants Terrifier 4 now. I said, well, good things come to those who wait, so you got to wait a little bit longer. You'll get art again for the last time next year. All right, The Burning. Let's do a little plot synopsis, and we'll dive into this film, see what Troy liked about this movie. I think I already know, but we'll get into this. We open up at Camp Blackfoot, and there's this asshole, alcoholic, abusive caretaker named Cropsy. And this group of kids decides to play a prank on Cropsy, where they basically sneak into his cabin. He's passed out from being drunk and whatnot. And they put a flaming skull. They light candles in the skull covered in dirt and worms. And they go outside and they're banging on the window. And Cropsy wakes up, panics, gets freaked out, kicks over the skull, lights himself on fire, and he busts through the door, runs down to the river, and he gets put out and basically taken to the hospital. We fast forward 5 years, 5-year time jump. He's all disfigured. They did skin grafts. They couldn't fix him. He gets out of the hospital once he recovers enough that they could release him. Kills a hooker, which actually wasn't in the original script, and then makes a beeline back for this other camp. After 5 years, he returns to this other camp that's nearby where Blackfoot was, called Stonewater. And basically, what happens is he stalks our teens, kills a bunch of them, and then finally at the end of the movie, Cropsy gets his by getting an axe buried in his skull and lit on fire. And that is The Burning. So, to give a little context before we get Troy's thoughts on this movie, because this is his first time seeing this film. The Weinsteins wanted to make a low-budget horror film. They want to get into Hollywood, and they were looking for anything. And like I said, they lived in New York, so they were aware of the Cropsy legend that was told around campfires in the state of New York. Actually, we have friends from New York, and they know about Cropsy. They never saw the movie, but they've heard the name Cropsy before because of that. It was a tale that was told around campfires at camps to scare kids, and they basically turned it into a slasher film. And I think what works about this film is, first of all, their ace in the hole was Tom Savini. They got Tom Savini to come in to do the makeup effects. And if you've seen this film, you know it's right out of Tom Savini's playbook. The kills are cool. They're gory, especially for rated R at the time, because the MPAA was starting to have a hard-on for horror movies to cut them down. This is when they really cracked down on Friday the 13th. and started giving horror movies a hard time. They gave Wes Craven a hard time on Nightmare on Elm Street. So The Burning got away with quite a bit because I think this is even gorier than Friday the 13th Part 2 and Part 3. Not as gory as Part 4, which Tom Savini would return to the franchise to do, but Tom Savini did turn down Part 2 to do this film. I actually like the kids here, and I think it helps that Jason Alexander, Fisher Stevens, and whatnot are in this movie. They're very likable. They feel like real kids. Just their banter and their interactions, I think that works really, really well. And the setting, it's a camp, man. You can't go wrong. In the 80s, you couldn't go wrong with a camp slasher. It's funny, though. There's not a lot of slashing until they get on those canoes. There's a little bit, but it really kicks into high gear once they go on that canoe trip. But before we go any further, I want to pass it over to my son here. This is his first time seeing this movie. So, Troy, what did you think of the movie itself, the kills, and Cropsey as a killer? Just go one by one.
Well, I think Crops as a killer is it's a cool concept because I could see kids doing that.
A prank that went
Yeah.
wrong, and then he's pissed off and he just wants revenge.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think of his makeup when they finally did show him?
I think it looked good, but could have been better.
Well, we'll get
Room
into
for improvement.
we'll get into that. Why I like it, and I think considering the constraints, which we'll talk about, I think it's as good as it could have been considering. But what would you say your favorite kill was?
I actually don't know.
Well, the one most people go to. Oh yeah, definitely. Summer camp slashers were made for 4K. I mean, the colors do pop on this 4K. It looks gorgeous, considering how old the movie is. The one people go to, I guess, the most, and you could tell me what you feel about this one, is the canoe scene where the raft goes up to the canoe and Cropsey pops up. That's the one that's kind of notable for this movie. But then you also have the one where he shoves it through the guy's throat, and puts him into the tree.
Actually, I think the one where they kill Cropsey is my favorite.
Where they bury the axe in his head, and then
Yeah.
well, that's one thing you got to give Savini. He knew how to take out a killer. The Prowler is another one where he blows his freaking head off. What do you think about the setting? I mean, it's very Friday the 13th-esque with the setting. Although they say the movie, this was written before Friday the 13th came out. But no matter what,
It's basically just Friday the 13th.
it's Friday the 13th.
Just different killer.
It's just a different killer.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a cool setting. I mean, camps lend itself.
I mean, it's like an easy way to get away with a horror movie.
Yeah, because everybody's isolated.
Yeah.
And
apparently no one learns how to have a gun. So
well, they are at a camp. They did shooting back then, so you think somebody would have had a gun, but
or like one of the higher ups would have one.
well, as we saw, the higher up didn't even want to believe her that there was something going on at first until finally he's like, "Oh shit, I think she's telling the truth." What do you think of the characters, the kids themselves? Do you buy them as kids, like their interactions and the way they acted? I think they do a pretty good job of giving you what teenage kids would be like. I mean, you're a teenager.
Especially at the beginning when they're pulling the prank, you can tell that there's some of them I could see my friends acting like.
Yeah. But you could also tell they were shocked when the cabin went up in flames, like, oh shit, this went too far. I think the only problem is they never show. I mean, obviously, Todd was there. We find out later in the movie he was there. He was one of those kids. And then when he sees Cropsey, he starts having the flashbacks to what happened. But we don't know what happened to any other kids based off of that. Like, did it affect them that they really almost killed this guy? It doesn't really matter. It's a slasher movie. You're not supposed to think that hard about it. But you know,
I think they should have shown more in the hospital.
His recovery,
or not like the recovery, but I think it should have not have been like he gets out over time. I think he should just kind of eventually got tired of all the skin stuff and kind of just went crazy.
Well, I think the thing was the reason they glossed it over is because Cropsey has to get to work. He has to get back to a camp and
Yeah.
start getting to business. That's why the hooker kill's there. That kill was not originally there. The Weinsteins made the director do that because there was no kill until he got back to the camp. So they added that later because they felt like they needed to get a kill earlier in the movie, which I have to agree it was probably the right call, although I don't like producers telling a director they have to do something, but I think that kill is needed just to jumpstart where we're going. Because if a kill wasn't there, we weren't going to get our kill for quite a while.
They could have had the kill when he grabs the guy's arm, like the guy's arm in the hospital.
Well, I think they wanted to wait till he got out of the hospital.
Yeah.
But yeah, they could have done something in the hospital. But I agree. They could have done something a little sooner.
Because they kind of just like are in the hospital for like 30, 40 seconds.
Yeah, just enough for that guy to give the monologue about this guy. You got to see this guy.
I think they should have shown an after shot of what happened after the burning, like him in the ambulance going to the hospital.
I mean, like show more of him. Like
Yeah.
That would have been a cool thing. They probably couldn't have because of the rating. If they wanted to, plus money was probably an issue.
But I think that would have worked better.
That would have been cool. That definitely would have been cool to show that like different stages of him trying to fix him, and then he's just left with what he's left with, and then he just wants to get back at any kids.
It could have been even like a quick time lapse, like kind of like
they could have done that. Yeah, I would assume it was probably because of time.
Yeah.
Brandon likes your call. Yeah, I think it was because of probably time and money.
I think it was more money than time.
It was probably that because Troy said about the burn makeup. I think it looks pretty good. I agree with him. It could have been better, and even Savini would agree. I was telling Troy, me and Dale saw Savini at a convention a couple of years ago. He was here in Raleigh, and he got asked about the burning, and he said he took a poll. He asked people to raise their hands if they liked the burn makeup, and I like the makeup. I think it looks pretty good. But he even said then, and it's all over online, you can find what he thinks about it. He was never happy with that burn makeup. He didn't have enough time to really do it the way he wanted to do it. They gave him 3 days. He asked for like 10 to 14 days, and they gave him 3. So he had a rush to create that makeup. And he said to this day, he's never been happy with it completely. I think that's also probably why you don't really get a good shot of it till the end of the movie.
Yeah.
It's not until they're in that mine that you really get a good, clear shot of him. And it's only like 2 shots you really get to see his face. But even Tom Savini was never happy with it, and he created it. And I think that was probably due to money and time. They were trying to get it done. That was the other thing. This was a rush production because they were trying to get it done. They were worried that the slasher boom was going to dry up before they can get the movie out. So they were pushing. Yeah, Savini's never satisfied. Brandon, never. I think the only time I've ever heard him say he was totally satisfied with some of his stuff on Day of the Dead. But usually he would say, I could have done that better. I could have done that better. That's a huge slowdown in physical media release. Yeah. There has been a little bit of a lull, I will say, but we're gearing up for a lot more coming up, physical media releases wise. I know June, like I said, we got Day of the Dead coming, the Scream 4, Scream 7. I know Arrow's gonna announce. Well, they already announced their July releases. They usually they'll announce their August releases. I don't know what they have coming up. I've heard some rumors about what might be coming, and I know Synapse just announced that they're going to release Near Dark on 4K finally, which will be huge because that's one that people have been waiting for, Near Dark. I still have the old Anchor Bay special edition DVD. But, yeah, I guess there has been a little bit of a slowdown recently, but I think it's going to pick back up. There's a Halloween box that comes from Second Sight, or it might be already out. Not that I'm going to double dip. I already have the 4Ks, the ones I want. No, I'm not.
When you see it on sale, you're going to buy it. You know.
No.
Me and you both know.
No, it's not going to happen, man. It's not going to happen.
And then I'll see you.
That Cropsey documentary came out in 2009. I was wrong. I said 2007. Harvey Weinstein wrote the 5-page treatment for this movie in 1979, and it was called The Cropsey Maniac. So they ended up changing the movie to The Burning. Like I said earlier, Tom Savini turned down Friday the 13th Part 2 to do The Burning. And he's famous for saying he didn't think there was a story past Part 1 once he found out Jason was the killer. Obviously, he changed his mind and came back for Part 4, but Part 2, Savini bowed out to do The Burning, and I'm glad he did. He gave us a different slasher killer. Unfortunately, never got a sequel. This is also one that's never been talked about a remake either. I don't remember them ever talking about this for a remake. Maybe it's for the best. Just leave it alone. We have that 4K. Let us just enjoy as is. The shot of Cropsey's legs kicking when he's on fire, that was actually Tom Savini's legs. He did that stunt. The screenplay for this was written in 6 weeks. They hired a writer to flesh out the story, and the director also helped write it along with Harvey Weinstein. And they got it knocked out in 6 weeks. Miramax Pictures was developed on this movie. This is where Miramax started on The Burning. They had a different production company name, and it morphed into Miramax by the time they released this movie. This was filmed up in Buffalo, outside of Buffalo, New York, and Tonawanda, New York as well. So about 6 hours north of where I grew up. The film's climax was supposed to be originally filmed in a mine. They had a mine all picked out to film the climax of the movie in, and it was not safe. It was deemed unsafe. Oh, the Fight Club 4K. That comes out this Tuesday. Fincher made some changes, but I'd still want that on 4K. I heard it doesn't really. It still looks great, and the changes are very minor because Fincher's a perfectionist. So, I mean, he even fixed stuff on the 7 4K. Yeah, you're right. Some of these are better off left without sequels. I don't think The Burning needed a sequel. And Cropsey obviously was freaking dead. So if they would have brought him back, it would have been like Jason or Michael Myers. Yeah, Brandon, they had a cave they picked out. It was deemed unsafe, so they found this abandoned copper mine, and they shot the climax in this copper mine up in New York that they found. And I think it works really well. It's a great setting. I think there's some really cool lighting in that moment at the end. I think it's a really well shot ending, and I love, like Troy said, he loves the ending because they bury the axe in Cropsey's head and they light him on fire. And I love that shot, that locked off shot, and you see Cropsey stuck to the post, and the axe, you see the axe hanging out of his head, and he's just in flames. It's a great shot. It's one of the closing shots of the movie. I think it's a great shot. And the other thing about this movie is all the night scenes, except for the campfire scenes, were shot day for night. So the only shots that were actually filmed at night were when they were sitting around a campfire. Everything else was shot day for night. They faked it. And you can kind of tell, especially in 4K, you could really tell that it was shot day for night. But they hide it good enough. I'm not complaining about it. I'm just, it's just one of those little pieces of trivia that all those night shoots were day for night shoots. They weren't actually shooted at night. Oh, yeah. Troy's, how many years now you've been watching horror movies? 2?
3?
3? And the first one was Scream, right?
Wait, I was 11.
So it's been 3 years. Yeah, we started them off on Scream. I was trying to think when we started them off. My wife agreed, but I was trying to think of movies that were. And I love Scream. Don't get me wrong, but I was trying to think of something that was not too crazy. So Scream was what I came up with. So that's where we started them off at. And now, well, he's seen all the Terrifiers, and we're about to watch something else that I never thought I would watch again. But that's a different story for a different time, though. It doesn't need to be talked about now. But yeah, no, I was watching horror movies when I was 6, man. I saw Halloween 1 and 2 when I was 6. It was a TV edit, but that's what started me on this. So, with the name, it's not quite that quick, Brandon,
It
but
was that quick.
no, it wasn't that quick. No, it was at least you didn't see Terrifier 1
No,
until
it was until last year.
it was until yeah, because you haven't seen any Terrifier in the theater yet. So it was after Terrifier 3 you saw the first one.
It was last year. I
Last
remember
year,
we watched
yeah.
it around right before Christmas. Time.
Then you burned right through the other two.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. We watched Terrifier 3 together, and your mom was out, and she came home at the worst freaking moment. Yeah, Brandon, you should have saw that night. I let him watch Terrifier 3. It was just me and him. Alicia was out with some friends of ours, some girlfriends of hers, and friends of ours, family friends. And, oh, yeah, I know. And it was right at the shower scene.
Yep.
Terrifier 3.
Yep.
It was right at the shower scene in Terrifier 3, Brandon. And my wife walks in and sits down on the couch next to us. And I'm just looking, I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is the worst time for her to come in and sit down next to us. If you could only saw the looks I got. Good times. Good times.
Well, how old were you when you watched the movie that you thought you'd never watch again?
Oh, I was 19?
Oh.
Yeah, I was, yeah. Yeah, that wasn't. I saw Faces of Death when I was 7 or 8 because of my cousin. But no, the one that we're gonna watch, I didn't see that till I was like 19. Yeah, that was much later. I was an adult, and I told you I had to buy it off eBay because you couldn't just buy it.
Yeah.
Brandon, that's absolutely. I remember, and if you could see just anything through the lines and the static, you were like, oh, "Is that what I think it is?" Yeah, I remember those days, Brandon. Jesus Christ. Oh yeah, the good old days. Now you can just go online and just see whatever you want. But back then, it wasn't that easy. All the Shannon Tweed movies, Brandon, they used to play on Skinamax. Shannon Tweed. That was like her go-to. And those Emmanuel movies, yeah, I remember those. Jesus Christ, bring them back, man. Those were the days, Brandon. Those days are long gone now. Okay, back to The Burning. Let's get off of Skinamax. Okay, Troy, this is your first time seeing The Burning. What would you give it out of 10? What would you rate it?
7.5.
7.5. You enjoyed it. You would watch it again.
Yeah.
Might want to watch it with your friends.
Probably tomorrow.
Jesus Christ. 7.5 out of 10 for The Burning with Troy. I would give The Burning a 9 out of 10. I like The Burning a lot. It's one of those early slasher movies that I think's like it's kind of like, we know what it is. If you're a horror fan, you know what it is. But it's kind of like one of those hidden gems. A cult movie for sure. Kind of ignored upon release, but found its audience later on. I like The Burning. It's one of my favorite slasher movies of the period. I think it's even better than Terror Train and Prom Night. And I like those movies, don't get me wrong. But this is definitely one of those quintessential slasher films. It's a meat and potatoes slasher films. Doesn't pull any punches. It knows what it is, and it goes for it. And it helps that Tom Savini did the effects for sure, because, you know, who else do you call when you don't have a lot of money but you want to have badass effects? You call Tom Savini, especially back then. So I would give it a 9 out of 10. I really like The Burning. I think it's one of those films that on 4K looks great. I highly recommend a 4K if you don't have it or if you're a big fan of this movie. It's really well done. 8 out of 10 from Brandon. Cool, Brandon. I feel like I went higher than the last time I rated this, but I just feel like coming off it again. 9 out of 10. Maybe it's the 4K winning me over. I don't know, but I like The Burning. It's definitely one of my favorite slasher films of the period. Not better than Halloween or Nightmare on Elm Street or stuff like that, but I dig it. It's one of those ones that had one movie and gave you what you wanted. So 9 out of 10 for me. Now, On to June. June's episode, I've been thinking about this because in July, we have a brand new Evil Dead movie. I love the Evil Dead franchise. Troy just watched a remake while I was in the hospital.
Yeah,
In his hospital room, he was watching Evil Dead,
a remake.
the remake. And he enjoyed it. He has to watch Evil Dead Rise at least before the new one comes out. He hasn't seen the original yet, but we're going to remedy that next month. Because in June, we're going back to a cabin in the woods for the original Evil Dead. I figure, what the hell, let's do it right before Evil Dead Burn. And in July's episode, I have a little bit something different for you all. We're going away in July for a week, and before we go away to the beach for a week, we're going to do a special episode in July. And Brandon, you probably know what this movie's going to be, but I'm not going to spoil it till next month. A little bit outside of the box for a show called Horror Talk Live. But it's going to be a lot of fun. But for next month, for June, we're going to go back to Sam Raimi's original, the classic, Bruce Campbell led Evil Dead. We're going to have some fun with this bad boy. Troy's never seen it. I remember seeing this when I was young, and I've been a fan ever since. So, yeah, the original Evil Dead will be on for June's Horror Talk Live, where we do this show live, no edits. So all my screw-ups are here on video. Yeah. Troy doesn't get to screw up because he's ready to go, but I screw up, so we could all laugh at me. But, yeah, The Evil Dead, it's a good time. Troy's never seen the original.
Just the remake in a hospital bed.
Just a remake in a hospital bed. I walked in. I got to the hospital, and he's what? Where the hell was I? Was I down in the cafeteria and I came back and you were watching it? I don't remember how.
Yeah, when the nurse came in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, nurse
later.
comes in, and there's my son watching the Evil Dead remake on his on his iPad, or my wife's iPad. Well, the nurse got a surprise when.
Well, I paused it.
Well, good boy. That's all you need to see is the girl puking blood on somebody or something going on when the nurse is hanging over you.
The first thing that happens.
Oh, they like the Evil Dead? Brandon, I didn't even know he was watching it. I mean, I didn't care. But I have a copy of it on my iTunes account. But I have the 4K unrated version. But he was watching on my iTunes account. I came in, I'm like, you watching the Evil Dead remake? He's like, yeah. And he ended up liking it, thank God. Because I said, we have a new Evil Dead movie coming out in July. So we gotta get you up to speed, man. We gotta get you up to speed on the Evil Dead universe. So the sights that await him. But yeah, we're gonna do the Evil Dead next month. That's it for tonight. I want to thank you all for joining me. If you haven't hit the like button, please hit the thumbs up. I greatly appreciate that. And I hope you all have a great weekend, no matter where you are. Hopefully you just have fun. Even if the weather sucks, I hope you have a good time. And I want to thank you for joining me and Troy. Mm-hmm. And as always, we will see you next time. Until next time, bye. Have a great night.